What's going on, guys? We are back. We are back. Guys, they're coming after your kids.
And you ain't black.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's been some time. We are back. Come on in, guys. Come into the room and let's have a conversation. Snell. Got my buddy Snell here with me again, and we are going to bring to light some very troubling things that's going on in our nation right now, particularly with our kids, regarding our kids. Snell, how are you, man?
No, pretty good. I mean, we got some troubling issues to discuss, and hopefully we'll open some eyes on and give people some insight on what to look for when the upcoming elections, and they can really judge their politicians correctly.
The upcoming elections. Oh gosh, you got your money on anyone, man?
You know, I know we have a Michigan governor election. There's two candidates that are that kind of stand out, and unfortunately, when you have Governor Whitmer that everybody is absolutely in love with,
Yeah.
you do kind of get the rough end of the stick. But I'm gonna say Tudor Dixon is probably my choice.
Tudor Dixon. Tudor Dixon. I don't know much about him. Is he what is he, a Republican or?
No, she's good.
Oh, she.
It is a woman. Okay, so
Okay.
you're in a swing state, so you kind of have to be open to that.
Okay.
But she believes that everything that Governor Whitmer did during the whole pandemic and stopping you from going to your second house and stopping you
Gotcha.
from going on a boat because God knows fish might give you COVID or something along those lines. Um, she believed all that was just all propaganda and a
Yeah.
violation of your rights. So I mean, she had
Okay.
nothing right there.
Okay. Well, I'll have to look into her. Just want to give a big shout out to Lori. Hello, Miss Lori. Actually, Lori, thank you so much. You sent me the material of tonight's broadcast, and I want to definitely give a big shout out to you. Hello, we got Lisa in the house. Hello, Lisa. How are you doing? Blacker than the blacker than a church shoe.
I don't know. My church shoes were a little bit blacker. I mean, I had some pretty dark church shoes.
All right, Snail. Carol, how you doing? Carol, how you doing? All right. Woke. What are we talking about? TC Franks, what's up? Woke and CRT is
Critical race
destroying.
theory. We'll have to do a separate episode on that one.
Oh my gosh.
Deserves an episode in itself.
Yeah, I know, man. That's gonna be a lot to discuss. Trust me. Carmina, what's up? Glad you can join. I appreciate it. All right, guys, come on. I'll give a little bit more, just a little bit more time for everyone to join in because, like I said, tonight's discussion is a. I mean, I guess it is pretty controversial because from where I
That's not what the
stand,
data says. I mean,
that is not controversial.
the data paints a pretty clear picture. The data paints a pretty clear picture. I mean, people can call
Oh,
it controversial. They just don't like the data. If they
that's right. That's right. I forgot, guys. Snail, he's the analyst here, so he's gonna he's gonna keep us on par with the data, the statistics on how things are on that front.
And you
But-
guys were in the same room tonight. Normally we're not. We just decided to get a little powwow and get together and hang out a little bit. So, Carmina,
Hello.
there you go.
Hello, Manu. What's up? What's up? Okay, Snell. So let's just jump straight into it, man. They're coming after our kids. They are coming after our kids. I think it's once upon a time it was a covert assault, but I think it's a lot more overt now. I think they're blatantly just unafraid to indoctrinate our kids and pretty much put us in a position where if we don't stand up and do something about this, it's going to get progressively worse. What are your thoughts?
Well, we're already seeing a growth in the LGBTQ community, and Albert Einstein said it best: what is tolerated today becomes accepted tomorrow. And you're seeing that in our schools. You're seeing that in society, and I mean, it's gender and sexuality are not independent of each other.
Absolutely.
There's no data that supports that. I mean, you can look at suicide rates, you can look at rates of mental illness, fatherlessness in the household, pedophilia. That's a good one. I mean, if you look at the amount of pedophiles that
Yeah.
fall into the LGBTQ community, I
Yeah.
mean, the statistics are not favorable for that community. So
Right.
it does get a little unsettling when you have people that, especially people that are educators,
Yeah.
that are saying, hey, we want to encourage your child to express their identity from a gender perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. Look, you express your identity. If you want to do something, like if you're a girl and you want to be a little bit of a tomboy and play kickball or whatever, fine. Like nobody's saying that you can't enjoy in some of the sports that your fellow kids are playing in, but that doesn't make you a guy if you're a girl that plays sports.
I mean, and you know what, Snell? I mean, man. Uh-oh. I think they're having an issue with our audio here. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I apologize about that. I know there might be a slight echo, so we're gonna try to alleviate that in some fashion or another. But this is where we stand. But I think it's I think see, this is my problem. My problem is when adults start taking it upon themselves to indoctrinate children. You know, that's no one's problem. Excuse me, that's not their place, okay? To talk about sexuality, you know, gender fluidity, all of these, you know, ambiguous concepts that children at that age they cannot understand. They cannot understand. They can't even look. It is up to the parents to teach their children about these matters, right? I don't think that public school educators, school teachers should be even touching this topic. It's not their place. What are your thoughts, Neil? Oh, I
My
think you're muted.
thoughts are there's a lot of people out there that want to, for one, change your child's minds. Okay. And ultimately, the LGBTQ community, the transgender community, they need straight, cisgendered, as they call it, people to create more gay people. They cannot have sex and produce children. Okay. They can adopt, but ultimately they're just training their children to be transsexual. Okay. So they need people like us who are not transgender to create more transgender people. So they try to exploit these loopholes, such as, I mean, back in the day, we used to teach our own children. Everything was homeschooled. Well, now that they're in a public education, and we all know how the government and public education works, they can then implement their ideas without our input. And they can start indoctrinating, trying to, at least. That's why we have to be more diligent on what our children are learning and their understanding of sexuality and everything like that. They're trying to indoctrinate our children in ways that they think that we don't have control over. So it's a very dangerous time.
And you know, you know, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so it was kind of like a blessing and a curse, the whole COVID pandemic, because I think if it wasn't for COVID, which it might, yeah, I think if it wasn't for COVID, a lot of these parents would have had no clue about what these teachers were uh, doing with their children. And I thank God. I mean, of course, the pandemic was horrific. A lot of people lost their lives, but I definitely thank God for parents to being able to get a bird's eye view of what was happening with their children in school, what these teachers were indoctrinating them with. So look, like I said earlier, man, it's time where we have to draw a line in the sand. Okay, we have to draw a line in the sand, and we have to stand up for our children. We have to protect our children. Of course, that's our job, because right now the Democrats and a lot of these radicals, they believe that they have parental control over our children. They believe they make more suitable parents than the actual parents. So look, check this out. I'm going to play this video here. I want you guys to see just how sophisticated some of this indoctrination is. I mean, they're using cartoons now. They're using cartoons to, really entrance these children. All right, so check this out. Check this out, Snell.
There. That's called an erection.
Sometimes I touch my penis because it feels good.
Sometimes when I'm in my bath or when Mom puts me to bed, I like to touch my vulva too.
You have a clitoris there, Kayla, that probably feels good to touch the same way Keith's penis feels good when he touches it. But have you ever noticed that older kids and grown-ups don't touch their private parts in public?
They don't?
Well, for
That's
one,
right,
you can't
Keith.
even see it.
It's okay
So,
to
I mean,
touch
whoever made the
yourself
video,
and see how different body
hopefully
parts
it's somebody
feel.
trying to
But
protect
it's
our
best
children.
to only do it in
But
private.
like, shit. That's just
Yeah.
appalling.
You see that? Uh-oh. Let me pull this down. There it is. There it is, guys. You see that? This is what they're doing. Right underneath our nose. And if we're not vigilant, if we're not aware of what's going on, this is what they're doing. This is what they're spoon feeding our children. Whoa, oh, I just woke up, busy day. But to this, wow. What's going on, Stanley? How you doing? Yeah, it is crazy, Geraldine. It is. It is. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I don't know if you guys saw this other video here I'm about to show, but it was surfacing it surfaced on the internet a while back. This is a pretty much I don't know, sort of an anthem, some gay community. I mean, I said some gay community, but the gay community, they put out this song pretty much saying that exactly what they're doing. They're going to indoctrinate the children. They're going to convert your children.
It's the gay community.
The gay community. Yeah, exactly. All right, check this out, guys. I just look, I'm putting all this out here, guys, for you, for everyone to be aware of what's happening. You know why? We are out busting our butts at work, trying to provide for our families. These are what the media and what the school system teaching our children. All right, here we go.
Over these past years, there's still work to be done. So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you. You think we're sinful? You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
Did you guys hear that? We'll convert your children quietly and subtly, and you'll barely notice it.
All right, you got to take that dude's face off. He's creeping me out a little
Look at
bit.
that. Look at his face. A monster. All right, I'm just gonna play a little bit more and then get to boot this guy out of here.
You can keep him from disco. Warn about San Francisco. Make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
At first, I didn't get why you'd be so scared of us turning your children into accepting, caring people, but I see now why you'd have a problem with that.
Just like you worried, they'll change their group of friends. You won't approve of where they go at night.
All right, so I'm gonna fast forward this because I want you guys to see the collection of people that came together to make this song. Like That's what. Look at all these folks. This is a song that's singing about converting your children into a more tolerant, belief system. Uh-oh. What are your thoughts, Nell?
Well, one thing I can say, and I don't know off the top of my head, but I did read an article that it was like 80% of the people in those squares are on the sex offender registry or something along those lines. So, I mean, look, if they're trying to get their rocks off, okay, of course they're going to try and indoctrinate your children. I mean, they should be chemically castrated to where they don't even have any of those feelings anymore. But I mean, I mean, they're probably somewhere in California, which I mean, we all know about California, Oregon, Washington, New York State. I mean, you got all this super liberal areas, and I mean, look, right now they're talking about minor attracted persons. They're no longer calling them pedophiles, minor attracted persons.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. See, when I was growing up, a map was something that you looked at to get directions. Okay. Now you're going to be brought to like an area where your child's going to get abused. So I mean, it's just it's really troubling times.
Yes, it is. No, I totally agree, man. Uh-oh. Stanley says, "Man, I'm not scared. I'm not scared, but God help me. The flesh part of me would convert your face." Basically, he's saying he slugged this guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I know, man, but that's what they want. They want a war. They really do.
No. They don't want a war. They want very, very small individual battles between people to where they can cry and claim that they're being oppressed. Okay. Neil, let me share some data real quick for you.
All right, let me take this down, and Snell's going to share some data, guys.
So everybody talks about in the trans community, not everybody, but everybody talks about trans, suicide rates and all this other stuff, and that's just because we're not accepted. Okay, is it showing? I am sharing it. It's on the screen.
No, you got to click it. Click on the middle of it. Click add to screen. No, press on the middle of it. Right there. Click it. Yeah, add to screen.
So anyway, everybody talks about the transgender community is. I'm already sharing screen. So anyway, people in the trans community, they all want to claim, it's because we're getting oppressed and all this other stuff. But there's a map right here. I'm not sure if we're showing it right now, but they have a overall policy tally. Okay, and shit been foretold and since been home discipline and abusive white folks started this shit. Black folk brought into it by trying to be and like, I mean, look, you can claim black and white, but I mean, the black community still has the down low. So I mean, and that's specific to the black community. I mean, look, there's been gays ever since, I mean, back in Rome. Okay, it doesn't make it right. Okay, but there has never been this level of trying to convert your child, to the opposite sex. Okay,
exactly,
and
confuse them too.
If you look at the overall policy tally, okay, and I'll just read them off because y'all can't see it. But Washington, Oregon. No, I mean we're good. Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Colorado, Minnesota, Illinois, most of the northeastern states that I'm not going to name because we all know they're very liberal. Okay, have a high overall policy tally. Now, what that means is they're very accepting politically, okay, and socioeconomically and socially when it comes to the transgender community. Okay, now the problem is you would say, okay, like maybe San Francisco or some of these bigger cities in California, and Oregon and Washington and stuff like that. Well, the suicide rates. Oh, there we go. Perfect. The suicide rates would be lower in a state like California. Okay. But like that's not the case. Okay. They talk about suicide rates are higher in California. So when you look at the acceptance, that has nothing to do with the suicide rates. I mean, we can look at here. Here's a study from the National Library of Medicine. Okay, 82% of transgender individuals have considered killing themselves. 40% have attempted suicide, with suicidality highest among transgender youth. So when they talk about a 40% statistic of 40% of people have attempted suicide, 82% have actually thought about it. And if you look at the 40% statistic, these are the people that are still alive. How many people who are transgender have attempted suicide that would technically add to this number because they attempted and succeeded? So you can't have data like this that says, okay, suicide rates are higher, and even in the cities in the states where there's acceptance, the suicide rates are the same, if not higher, and say transgender is good. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, I agree, Snell. But I mean, come on, man, you can't put nothing past the left. They'll do anything possible, even as far as fudging the numbers and falsifying data to push their agenda. And they don't care about children. They don't. They do not. Anything to the left, to the radical left, the progressive left, is either a tool or an ally. And children are as well, unfortunately. And that brings me to my next point, Snail. So I know you and I were talking a little bit off camera about sort of the same sort of methodology that the left is using that's kind of stark. It's kind of like parallel to what Hitler did with children. I mean, the children are going to be the ones more than likely to, especially at a younger age, when you get them at a younger age and you indoctrinate them, the children are the ones that are going to be the one that's going to fight for the cause because they've grown up believing this. And, and these are the ones that are going to think that they're fighting for a noble cause. The more the earlier you inculcate them with this indoctrination. So did you want to talk? I want to show a video, guys, about what Hitler did as far as indoctrinating the children and why children are so important to this sort of radical ideology. But before I do, Snell, did you want to speak on that really quickly?
Yeah, I want to speak on that. Share my screen one more time because I did want to show one more thing. Okay, so you can see my screen right here. So if you look at this right here, this is actually I'll scroll up. This is a study in Canada. So I know some people say, oh, like it's just the United States and all this other stuff, and they're shitty people. Actually, hold on, let me go back. Sorry, this is a study in Canada. Everybody say, oh, the United States and it's the government and they blame everybody but the fact that being transgender isn't natural. Even look at Canada, and they're starkly vastly different than the United States. And even here, compared with cisgender heterosexual adolescents, transgender adolescents showed 5 times the risk of suicidal ideation. Okay, I mean that's just absurd. That's in Canada. We're talking about Canada here. They accept everybody. They have no death penalty. I mean, you can rob a Canadian and they're going to be happy, pretty much. I mean, they're very docile people, and that's a good thing that they're docile. But you can just see that now is not the time to be docile and lay down and accept this and say, okay, well, it's just going to happen and everybody's going to be hunky dory. people aren't hunky-dory. They're committing suicide in every country. You can look up any country and they're committing suicide. And if you look at it, the countries that are stricter about it have lower suicide rates because people realize, hey, this isn't the way to go, even though they might have thought one point in their life that this was the way to go. Everybody's had a bad thought in their life. Oh, hey, maybe I should do this. And come to find out they shouldn't do it. So, and then to Neil's point about Hitler indoctrinating the children and everything along those lines, that's the only way, like I said originally, that's the only way you can breed more of these people. They have to indoctrinate the children to have more trans people. If you don't have children growing up thinking they're trans, okay? Because a lot of these people grow up and they're like, wow, I got my private parts chopped off when I was 13. That's a terrible mistake. So you got these people that are indoctrinating your children or trying to, okay? And then these children get older and then they commit suicide. I mean, at a 40% clip. So you're sitting there and you're like, all right, well, what's going on with this? Should we get more people? I mean, 40% of a higher number of people means more people die of suicide. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And it's I mean, and the thing about it is you have the medical community is even now signing on to this whole ideology. I mean, I work in a hospital. We both work in healthcare.
It's for the money. It's for the money. As soon as the insurance companies want to pay, the doctors are willing to do the procedures.
Well, you hit the hammer right on the nails there, Snell. It's definitely for the mighty dollar. Definitely programming. So anyways, so here's this video, guys. I just want you guys to look at this. In the same way Hitler employed this strategic plan to indoctrinate children at a very young age, you'll see the same similarities that's happening here with the radical left. Just watch this. I'm gonna fast forward it, and he says some very striking things that I think you guys really need to pay attention to. All right, here we go.
My father worked on the railways. My mother came from a poor farming family. I was their only child. We had a typical flat in working-class Hamburg. Factories were all around us, smoke and noise. The banging and grinding filled the air throughout the day. But it was music to our ears, the music of life itself.
This is the story of one man's childhood. 10 years old when the Nazis came to power, like so many children in Germany, Henry Mettelmann learned to live, to fight, if necessary to die, for Adolf Hitler.
When my opponents say, we won't join you, I just say, your children are mine already. What are you? In time you will die. But your sons and daughters stand forever in my new camp, and in a short time they'll know nothing else but this new community.
I'm sorry, I had to stop that. Oops. Uh-oh. I hope you guys heard what I said. I think I had my phone on mute. I think I had the mic on mute. But I was just, what I said, just in case you didn't hear me, I said, what Hitler just said, he said, your sons and daughters will stand forever for my community. He said, the sons, the children will stand and fight for his community. All right, here we go. I'm gonna continue. Oh, I hope I'm not still muted.
For Henry's parents, the Nazi takeover spelled disaster. Henry remembers their hopelessness as the brown pest, as his father called them, marched in triumph outside. But for Henry, the Nazis were new, exciting.
When my father spoke so badly about them, I just didn't understand it. I thought, what does he mean that these Nazis are so dangerous? They were always so friendly to me. I used to run alongside them as they marched, singing their songs with them. They were always so smart in their uniforms, the leather, the jackboots. Es marschiert mit ruhig festem Schritt.
To get the next generation on their side, the Nazis had put tremendous energy into winning them over. Theirs was the party of youth against age, offering young people not just a dream, but a role to play. Standard bearers in the march to a new dawn. It was a way of channeling the natural rebelliousness of youth on organized lines. And the organization responsible was the Hitlerjugend, the youth wing of the Nazi Party.
Denn ihr seid Fleisch, von unserem Fleisch und Blut, von unserem Blut und in euren jungen Gehirn.
Oops. Sorry, I had to stop it for fair use. Fair use.
Brennt derselbe Geist, der uns beherrscht.
In 1932, the Hitler Youth numbered just 100,000. Within 2 years, it numbered 3.5 million.
Oops. Hold up, guys. I want you guys to see what he said there.
For all.
This is what he says. You are flesh. Oops. Here we go. Okay.
100,000.
Und in euren jungen Gehirn.
You are flesh of, okay, you are flesh of my flesh. Okay, here we go.
Denn ihr seid Fleisch.
You are flesh of our flesh.
Und in euren jungen Gehirn.
Blood of my blood, blood of our, and your young minds are driven.
In 1932, the Hitler Youth numbered just
by the same spirit that possesses me.
Within 2.
You are flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, and your young minds are driven by the same spirit that possesses me. This is what Hitler was telling the youth. Come on. This is exactly what's going on right now. They are indoctrinating children to be a part of this collective ideology. What are your thoughts, Snail?
Well, if you look, they had a picture of the two Utes. Yes, I said Utes. Anybody that caught that reference? And he's trying to seem personable. He's trying to make everybody seem, oh, hey, this is the way. That earlier video that Neil showed of that special person that probably has mental disorders that is trying to indoctrinate our children.
Oh, you're being very kind there, Snail.
Hard. Okay. Look, that's the word, okay? It's gender dysphoria, gender identity disorder, whatever you want to call it, okay? People
clinically insane.
I mean, look, people have mental retardation issues that they have to deal with. And unfortunately, nowadays in society, they're saying, hey, that's not mental retardation. They just want to change their gender and chop their private parts off and all this other asinine stuff. And when you think about it, I mean, Hitler was doing the same thing. I mean, when you look at Hitler, he's like, okay, well, I only want people with blonde hair, blue eyes. I want this like super race and everything. I mean, people think now they're like, what? And it's the same concept. They're trying to do the same thing that Hitler did, just like Neil said. They're doing the same exact thing that he did. The problem is the United States is the most powerful government in the world, and they're getting a 10%, maybe like a little bit. They're getting a little bit of a backing on it. And unfortunately, society's like, oh, we'll just let it happen. Because it's just happening like subtly. And what happens is, just like World War II and World War I for that matter, it happened subtly. And then all of a sudden, people are like, wow, I can't believe we got to this point. And it's like, okay, well, like, we let it happen. We voted for politicians that let it happen. I mean, the schools and everything like that. I mean, look at the books that they have out that binary, the one that we have on the original screenshot of the show. I mean, come on. You're not going to sit there and tell me a newborn knows that they're not a boy or a girl. Okay? This is just asinine.
Yeah, I agree, Snell. I agree. I mean, it's all pure confusion, especially for little kids to even, fathom at their age. I mean, but they know children are very pliable at that age, so they're likely to believe in anything. And that's what parents are supposed to be there to help interpret the world for children, help their children understand, find their place in society. Guys, Lori, if you don't mind, I want you to drop the link in. If anybody wants to join the show, speak their piece, perhaps you live in a county where this sort of ideology is going on. Let me see. Hey, Lisa, play the numbers, Neil. That's important because now today with social media and TV fake media controlling the propaganda, the growth of brainwashing is insane. Totally agree, Lisa. Totally agree. But yeah, Lori, if you could drop the actually no, I'm sorry. No, you can't, Lori. Sorry. I'm going to drop the link. If anybody wants to jump on, speak their piece about this. Sorry about that. Here we go. Just hit the link and we can talk about it. Snail, what's your thoughts, man?
So one more thing. I'm gonna share my screen, and this is it's not funny. It's so terrible that it's funny. Okay, because sometimes you just have to laugh. Okay, so once Neil puts this bad boy on the screen right here. So this is a national study. Okay, on like from a pro LGBTQ community organization. Okay, their rates are higher than independent studies. 42% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including more than half of transgender non-binary youth. Okay, now think about this. A pro LGBTQ community has a higher rate of suicidality, and they're the ones that are pushing it. So it blows my mind how that they can see these studies and do them themselves. And of course, the reason their number is probably higher is because they got more participants. I mean, the number is probably higher even than 42%. But if you're transgender, you're more likely to talk to a transgender organization than an organization that's just a random whatever, random organization. So it really is. It's crazy that these organizations know these studies. They do them themselves. And they're going to come out and say, oh, well, it's because you didn't accept me. Okay. Well, what about California? What about Oregon? What about Maine? What about Washington? I mean, all your northeastern states are A-okay with being transgender. All your vast western states are all okay with it. So if that's the case, then like, why is the suicide rate higher in those states? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. at least miles.
I did.
I wanted to hear the numbers again to make sure I heard correctly. I think they said 100,000 to 2 million in 2.5 years time. Can you pull that back up quickly? We'll post. So we'll post those numbers. We'll go back and review the video and we'll post those numbers. I mean, I don't doubt it. I mean, if you look at the amount of people, I'm a history buff myself. If you look at the amount of people that were mainly indifferent to the Jews in other surrounding nations over a period of, I mean, shit, World War I to World War II. I mean, give it that period of time. I mean, there was a lot of people that got indoctrinated. So it does make sense. I mean, those numbers are crazy. So if you look at now, I mean, look at the same growth. Okay, so look at from when gay marriage became legal to now, and look at the growth of how many people have either became transgender. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing, you still had the same transgender suicide rate 10 years ago. The problem is, I mean, when you have a small number of transgender people, it's a small number of suicides. The percentage is still the same. So as it grows, you're still going to have a higher and higher. The reason the transgender suicide rate and the LGBTQ suicide rate keeps on going up is because more people are comfortable saying they're transgender. They're more comfortable going to these studies and saying, you know what? I identify as a female. So they're saying this and they're saying, oh, well, yeah, I mean, I've had suicidal tendencies, and yeah, as they were before. So the rate's just going to climb until we do something about it and ultimately protect our children.
Yeah, well, the first thing we can do to protect our children is get them the hell out of these schools. Get your children out of the public schools.
I mean, look, I am pro public school to an extent. Okay, because we vote on the school board. Okay, and unfortunately, everybody's so obsessed with the president and Congress and everything like that, which you should be. Okay, but like, if you're gonna keep your child in public school, you need to know who your school board officials are, because they're going to approve the agenda. They're going to be the ones that end up screwing you in your family dynamic. They're going to be the ones. And then, I mean, granted, if the governor of Michigan says it's a mandated class, I mean, yeah, then you got to pull your child out and you got to deal with it or whatever. But it's an unfortunate reality that, I mean, the government and the people that are in the school boards and stuff like that, they just kind of go unnoticed. These lower level officials, and they're like, oh, hey, like this governor or this senator like wants me to enact like some gender identity class for a kindergartner, and they just do it because nobody's there to stop them. It's unfortunate. So I mean, it's really on us to pay attention, to say like, hey, this isn't right. This isn't right. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna picket. We're gonna do our things. So, you know, Hitler had his troops on meth so they could stay awake, and I believe he was using it. Nevertheless, we know when you give somebody drugs who's addicted, you know they're gonna follow you. Okay, so to your point, Carol, all these kids that they're giving hormone blockers and everything like that. I mean, come on. There's women that take birth control, okay, because they have hormone imbalances. So what do you think it's going to do to a child when they're giving them similar medication to cause them to have hormone imbalances? They're going to have issues. They're going to have issues. Everybody's going to be like, oh, like they have issues. Well, you know what? You gave them hormone blockers when they're supposed to be developing breasts, okay? You're giving hormone blockers. When their testicles are supposed to drop, you're giving them hormone blockers. So, and then people wonder, oh, why are the kids all turning us up? Because you're giving them drugs, and then you're also telling them, oh, this is how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel like this. You're supposed to not have breasts. I mean, it's just insane. They give people drugs, and they expect them to be the same exact person as they were before.
Oh, just to answer your question, Lori, I had to slap Snail here because he, I don't know, it sounded like he gave a pass to public schools there for a second. Look, I stand strong and I stand firm on that. I think these public schools are just they're just a cesspool for the indoctrination. They're an affront for the left, for the for the ideologues, for the radical left to push their agenda. I mean, they're pretty much government sponsored, so they have to comply with the the legislation. So whatever radical ideology or agenda that comes from the top, comes straight from the top, from the federal level, it's going to be implemented in these schools.
Well, a lot of that comes from the state level, though, and that's why I said, like, I agree. I mean, look, my child's school gets less state funding, okay, because of certain things that they do or don't do, okay, and us as parents have to come up with some of that funding, and I'm fine with that, okay. I don't want my child learning about anal sex in school. I have no desire for my 8-year-old to learn about anal sex, nor do I want. I mean, I have a son, but nor do I want him learning about scissoring or masturbating of the opposite gender. I don't want him learning that at 8 years old. That's not what children are supposed to learn about. Now, if we're talking about a sex ed class and they're learning about how babies are made and stuff like that, and they're in the appropriate age, and that's the agenda, okay, fine. You're in biology, you're in science, whatever. But I agree with Neil. If your school is doing that, that's why I said you need to take a hard look at who is in your school board. You vote on your school board people. You need to find somebody that's going to say, well, we're the school board. We're going to set the agenda, and we're not doing any of this liberal nonsense or this transgender nonsense that the government's trying to push on us. And if you don't have those people, then yeah, I mean, you either have to deal with a private school, which those can be really expensive. And there's been, unfortunately, some troubling stories that have come out even from private Christian schools, which is really crazy to me. But it is troubling. Say, I doubt DeSantis in Florida is going for this mess. Oh, look, they say the "Don't Say Gay" bill. It's not "Don't Say Gay." It's don't teach my child about anal sex.
Exactly.
Before 3rd grade. I mean, my thing is like, shit, don't teach them about anal sex ever. I mean, these transgender people are arguing about 3rd grade. I'm like, shit, my child's going into 4th. I don't want to learn about anal sex in 4th grade either. It's just crazy.
It is crazy, man. Like I said, it's clinically insane if you tell me. But before we go, guys, I do want to show you one last video. Now, Lori, this is what you sent me earlier, so I definitely want to give a big shout out to Lori. Sent me this. It was very, 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 very disturbing. Guys, this is pretty much this is a video that's going to describe this book that currently in schools right now, and K through 12. Kids are learning about it. I think, as early as 3rd grade, about masturbation. Yeah, I know. It's terrible, right? So I'm going to share my screen. You guys check it out, and
I'm 31 and don't even want to watch this video. Imagine what your 8-year-old feels like.
Yeah, I know, man. But like I said, that's the thing. This is what the radical left expect. This is what they expect, man. They don't expect that we actually have these conversations, that we don't bring this to the light, and we just pretty much stick our heads under our in the sand and whistle past the graveyard.
Well, one thing before we play this video, what happened to the word trannies? I mean, that used to be the word that we said. I mean, is that just, am I being transphobic right now by saying trannies?
Deluded,
because I don't know. For me, I play the video. This is just asinine.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, because what? Not even what? I mean, I in my day, I'm not that old, but I could definitely spot a a drag queen from a mile away.
Neil, we're transphobic, which means we're scared. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Even just the mere mentioning
I'm
of
transmissic. Yeah, I'm not scared. I just don't like it.
That's the thing. Like, what's so ironic about the left and these progressive extremists is that they do something so wild and so outlandish, and as soon as we notice it, they call us a bigot for noticing it. And that's, I don't know, it's ironic. But here we go. We're gonna play this video here, guys. All right, it's kind of stomach churning, so here we go. Share my screen.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Viewer discretion is certainly advised, I'll say. All right. There it is. Oops.
Do 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 do.
This was 4-year-olds. Yes, this assignment was given to very young children. So what's going on here is this is Albert Bay, British Columbia school, and they were reportedly given this homework assignment on masturbation. The worksheet asks students to draw pictures of places in their home where they can touch themselves. Now, the worksheet is adopted from a book called Body Smart, Right from the Start. Oh, that sounds good. Nothing wrong with that. Body Smart, right from the start. It's advertised for 3 to 7-year-olds. And the book overview, it's by Carrie Isham, and it will guide parents through the foundations of body safety and keeping kids safe from sexual abuse. Always good intentions, right? But we often find that they're really pushing the envelope on this. Katie, I was almost embarrassed to talk about this, but you have to address it because 4-year-olds are hearing this and getting this in class.
Well, in the fact that the book itself is advertised, you said it, for 3 to 7-year-olds. Now, David, you remember once upon a time, just about a month ago, when there was this bill in obviously we're talking about British Columbia, so Canada, but here in the United States, there was this bill and they called it, I think, the Parental Rights in Education. Okay. And it was about 3 to 7-year-olds, and it was deemed the Don't Say Gay bill. And we got all this backlash for this bill that happened in Florida. And Governor Ron DeSantis, all he said was like, why are we trying to teach any of this information to 3 to 7-year-olds? But apparently they learned nothing from the Florida bill because they are putting this 3 to 7-year-olds into the classroom in British Columbia. So when we got told that that bill is just Don't Say Gay bill, and it's bashing LGBTQ, and how dare you do something like that? And our 3 to 7-year-olds need to know information. This book is providing the backbone of what the people who are against the bill are saying. And so what's fascinating in this is in the actual assignment.
So what's funny is she's talking about the British Columbia, okay? And we already saw the suicide rate in like some of these other countries that are, okay, 5 times the risk. 5 times the risk of average children. And they're still pushing it. They're still pushing it.
Yep.
They're teaching these kids how to masturbate.
At 3 years old.
What is up with that? What is up with that? It doesn't make any sense. It's pedophilia. Look, okay. I'm going to tell you one thing. If anybody in this comment list were to go up to a child and teach them how to masturbate, they would go to jail. They would go to jail.
Yeah, you're right. You're
If
right.
you're transgender and you create a pamphlet and hand it out to kids in a school, you're cool. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense.
You're inclusive.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre because it doesn't make sense. It's not right. It breeds high suicide rates. It breeds mental issues,
Confusion.
I mean, it's terrible for society. Nothing good comes from transgenderism. And one of the last things that I'll say about the whole subject tonight is they preach about it being accepted. If it's accepted, Why are you trying to stand out so much? If it's accepted, why do you need a month? If it's accepted, shut up, do your own thing. If people want to call you weird, they won't know because you're acting like a girl and your husband is acting like a guy, or your wife is acting like a guy. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it at this point. Zim, there, whatever. But like, you act like who you want to act. You do your thing. Why do you have to push it on us? You don't want to be accepted. You want to be special. That's why they're doing this. They
the
want
anointed.
to be special.
Yep,
You
the
don't
anointed.
have straight pride parades. You have gay pride parades because they want to be special. And they have gay pride parades even more in California where they're the most accepted. It does not make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Well said, Snell. Well said. I agree. They are the specials, and the specials need special, close attention. But you can't notice them too much, or you'll be deemed a bigot.
they need a psychologist. That's what they need, or a psychiatrist. One of the two.
Exactly. Like, you're not seeing me walking around boasting about my sexual orientation. You know, I mean, give me a break. This whole thing was never about acceptance. It's about you accept what we say and shut up. You accept what we do with your children and shut up. That's what it's about. It's about compulsion and force.
And another thing that I there are some studies on this, on like psychological issues with the transgender community and LGBTQ. And my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, I believe there's something deep down that these people are going through. They are going through something, okay? And unfortunately, their avenue of release on whatever they're going through is to say, you know what? I can just do something different. And the reason I feel depressed, sad, unhappy, whatever they're going through, is because I think I need to be a woman, or I'm a woman and I need to be a man. And they're getting these ideologies because society's pushing it. And I feel like there's exactly trauma-based. I believe that deep down that there's something that's going on in their lives. And unfortunately, I mean, Ben Shapiro said it before. I mean, gender dysphoria or morphia or whatever it is. I mean, these people need help. They need help. And if you were to sit there and say, hey, instead of spending my tax dollars on teaching children to become another gender, let's reroute those same dollars to help people that believe this, reach deep down and seek whatever issues that are troubling them and resolve those issues. I mean, yes, like let's do it. Let's try and help society versus just conforming to their idiotic ways. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Sick, deranged, and twisted. Well, guys, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate your time. I know. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. Special shout out to Lori. She sent this material, brought it to my attention, and I definitely had to bring it to you guys' attention because, like I said, we're gonna expose these demon rats, these demons, and they're not gonna get away with this. And we have to protect our children. They have no one else. They're vulnerable. Okay. All right.
So one more thing I want to say before we get off. The date is July 28th, and we are officially in a recession. And I hate to laugh about it, but I did call it, and I know a lot of y'all were the same members. July 28th, I said it 3 weeks ago. It happens. I mean, look, it's the same thing that's going to happen here. You can use the data, and you can see what's going to happen and predict everything. So,
all right, Snell. All right, Snell. You got your plaudits. All right, guys. Well, that's it for tonight. As always, we are speaking truth and reality, and I promise you, we will reinstitute morality.